And we're back for the second page of our math assignment today. We are now going to be working on page 464. So have that open on Notability. Once it's all ready, we can get going ahead. So the top of page 464 is all about rectangles. All of these figures are rectangles. Rectangles have adjacent sides that are perpendicular. So when it says adjacent sides are perpendicular, really what they're talking about is the two sides that kind of run into each other that form a vertex. And remember, a right angle, it's a perpendicular. Remember, perpendicular two lines, when they meet, they form a right angle. A right angle or a 90-degree angle is another way to say it. And so when you look at a rectangle, all of those lines, whenever they meet to form a vertex, they're perpendicular, or they form a right 90-degree angle. The other way to think about it too is I always say that perfect book, that book corner angle. I could fit a book in there perfectly. So all of these shapes, all of these rectangles, look at this one here. Those two lines are perpendicular, right angle. This is this one and this one, right angles, perpendicular, perpendicular, perpendicular. Now, you may be thinking, hey, that's a square. Well, yes, but it's also a rectangle, because all rectangles need to have are four sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, and four right angles. That is a rectangle. Now, you can also call this one a square. So it's kind of cool because squares and rectangles are kind of special. It's a rectangle and a square because if as long as it has four sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, and four right angles, it's a rectangle. Now, squares are a little bit more special. I can't call this one. I can't call this shape. It doesn't work it doesn't work with all of them. I cannot call this one or those ones squares. Those can only be rectangles. But this one I can call both, because a square has to have four equal sides. So if I was going to draw those lines, like this line and this line, since they both have one line on them, that shows they're equal. And I can also do it for those three, or those two, because it shows that all four of those are equal. Now I'm going to go back to this angle, this rectangle right here. I can draw one line there to show that the top and the bottom are equal. And I'll draw two lines there and two lines there to show that the left and right side are equal. And in this one, top and bottom are equal, and left side and right side are equal. That's kind of a cool thing with rectangles and squares. Rectangle, four sides, four right angles. A rectangle, four sides, four right angles. But it can also be a square because all four sides are equal. And Adele said rectangles are special kinds of parallelograms. And that's true. This is a parallelogram because it has one, so top and bottom are parallel, and the left and the right are parallel. So that's two pairs of parallel lines. So complete the sentence. A rectangle is a parallelogram with four right angles, is what I would say. You could also say with two sets of, basically four sets of perpendicular lines. But you can just say with opposite corner, or when you have, so a rectangle is a parallelogram that also has perpendicular lines at each of the corners, is what I'm trying to say. So each of the corners have perpendicular lines, or it's just, which basically makes four right angles. But you can record whatever makes more sense for you to explain what a rectangle is and why that's special. Okay, now we're going to be looking at this next part, explore squares and rhombuses. So these figures are squares. Squares, again, have four sides that are equal and four right angles. That's the biggest difference. Four equal sides and four right angles. Four equal sides and four right angles. These are rhombuses. I always think of rhombuses as kind of like a square that got tilted a little bit. Somebody was kind of pushing it over from the top. So a rhombus has 4 equal sides but does not have right angles. So a rhombus is basically related to a square because all of the sides are equal in a rhombus, but it doesn't have those right angles. Now it's kind of cool because you can also call a square a rhombus because it has 4 equal sides. And another cool thing too, the opposite angles are the same. So I'm kind of changing the colors here. So when I look at this one, this angle and this angle are exactly the same if you had a protractor to measure it. And this angle and that angle are the same. Same here. That angle and that angle are the same. And this angle and this angle are equal, the same. And same thing with this. Equal. They're both right angles. But so a square can fit a lot of things. A square could be a rhombus, and a square can also be a rectangle, because a rhombus just needs to have 4 equal sides, and the angle and the opposite angles are equal. And remember, just a rectangle just has to have 4 sides with 4 right angles. That's kind of cool. So Takeshi said squares are special kinds of rectangles. They are, because you can call them both. Rhombuses are special kinds of parallelograms. They are. So really, squares and rhombuses, again, are parallelograms. 2 pairs of parallel sides. So a square is a rectangle with 4 equal sides and 4 right angles. And a rhombus is a parallelogram. So a rhombus is a parallelogram with 4 equal sides and opposite angles are equal. Cool. So I'll pause there. Can get your notes in there. Rewatch the video if you need to. But when you're done, submit page 464 to Schoology.